What's up, guys? So today I am back with another season predictions video. I've done the NFL, I've done Premier League, and now it's time for the NHL. Hockey season is back, so it's time to do some picks for it. Must say, NHL is always the most difficult to predict. There's so much parity year to year, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I can be accurate on a few of these. Let's get right into the picks. So to kick things off, I'm going to start with the Atlantic Division, and to win this one, once again, I have the Tampa Bay Lightning. They were the most dominant team in the regular season last year, and the wheels completely fell off in the playoffs, so I think they'll come back with a vengeance, be another really solid team, and maybe make some noise in the playoffs this time around. After them, I have the Maple Leafs and the Bruins. I think the Leafs have a ton of talent, and they were able to re-sign all the big guys from last year, as messy as it was this offseason. So while there may be some questions in terms of the cap space in the future, I think they'll be really good this year. I think the Bruins will be just a step behind. Really devastating Game 7 loss in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. As a Boston sports fan, that one hurt a ton. But I think they'll be right back this year. They still have that same nucleus, so I think the Bruins will be good enough to get back in the playoffs and have another run at the Cup. After them finishing out the playoff spots, I have the Florida Panthers. Seems like they've been knocking at the door for a while now, and having a goalie like Sergei Bobrovsky should be able to put them over the edge, finally get them into the playoffs. Missing the playoffs will be the Buffalo Sabres, who have a really strong young team and an exciting team to watch. They had some flashes last year, but I'm not sure if it's really sustainable. We'll see what happens this season. After that, I have the Canadiens, another team, similar boat. You know, they're getting better. They're on the upswing. Are they there just yet? Not so sure. After that, I've got the Red Wings, and then finally the Senators, two teams, bit of a rebuild. I think they'll be finishing out the division this year. Moving over to the Metro, I've got the two usual suspects to finish at the top here, with the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins going 1 and 2 respectively. These two teams have a ton of veteran talent that have been able to get it done in the past, and I think that experience will be enough to get them past some of the younger teams in the Metro this year. After them, I have the Islanders. I think it's just Barry Trotz down there. He does what he does. I think he's going to get them back in the playoffs. And then finishing fourth and also making the playoffs, I have the New Jersey Devils. I think this is kind of hitting the point where we've got these younger teams with a ton of upside, but who's actually going to get it done? I'm saying the Devils will, because they have, Hughes and those younger guys, but then they also have some experience. Wayne Simmons, Taylor Hall, guys that have been around the league and know how to do it. So I think that the Devils will be pretty good this year, but nipping right at their heels will be the Hurricanes. They made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I thought it was a little fluky, and they obviously weren't made for it as they got swept in 4 games by the Bruins. After the Canes, I have the Flyers and Rangers, two more young, explosive teams that will definitely bring a lot of exciting hockey to two big hockey markets, but will they be able to make the playoffs? They're going to have to do some impressing to get that far. Finishing up the division, I have the Blue Jackets. They went all in last year, but that means that this year the roster is not so great, so maybe they'll surprise some people. Maybe they'll get back into the playoffs and be able to beat out some of these younger teams, but for now, I have them finishing all the way at the bottom. Moving over to the Western Conference, we'll go to the Central first, and I think this will be the most competitive division in all of hockey this year, but I have the Dallas Stars to finish on the top of it. They're just such a strong team on all 3 levels, forwards, defense, and goalies, so I think that should be enough to get them to the top of the pack this year. But right behind them are two teams that should be nipping at their heels this season in the Predators and Avalanche. Two very talented teams, but I give the slight edge to the Preds just because I think their goaltending situation is much more solid with Pekka Rinne. Coming in fourth, I have last year's Stanley Cup champions, the St. Louis Blues. I think they'll be playing with a ton of confidence off the back of that Stanley Cup victory, so we'll see if Jordan Binnington and the Blues can recreate that magic from last year and try to defend their title. That's not it for playoff spots just yet. I do have 5 playoff positions going to the Central Division this year, and the 5th team will be the Winnipeg Jets. It's been a messy offseason for the Jets. Things have looked really rough, but I still think they have the talent. They still have the pieces. If they can pull everything together, I think they still should be good enough to get back into the playoffs and make another run at it for the people up there in Winnipeg. And rounding out the division, I have the Blackhawks and the Wild. With all the veteran talent they have, you never know if Chicago can make a surprise run or not, but I'm not so sure I could say the same for Minnesota. And now on to our final division, the Pacific. I have the Golden Knights to win this one. I think they're on a bit of a hangover after getting to the Stanley Cup Finals in their first year as a franchise, so I think this year they should rebound and get back to the top again. Finishing second, I have the Calgary Flames, a team that people really don't talk about out here on the East Coast, but I think they do deserve some respect having won the division last season. And after them and finishing off the playoff spots, I have the San Jose Sharks, a team that did keep their star-studded defense, but lost a little bit of offense, and we'll see if that comes back to bite them. A team that's right on the fringe for me is the Vancouver Canucks. I think they have a really solid young nucleus, so we'll see if they can turn some heads this year and make some noise out in Vancouver. And then I have the Coyotes and Oilers, two teams that definitely have some individual talent, but still seem to be a few pieces away. At the bottom of the Pacific, and probably the entire conference, I have the Kings and the Ducks. There's not too much to say about these two teams, just still feels like they've got a ways to go. So those are my picks for who's going to make the playoffs, and as for the Stanley Cup, I think my matchup's going to be the Lightning and the Stars. Maybe it makes me boring to put the best team in the East and one of the best teams over in the West, but I think that those teams, two teams that are right on the edge, and they were so close last year, felt like maybe not the Lightning, but they definitely had the team to do it. So I think this is the year that those two teams will meet in the finals, and I've got the Lightning to win it. Yes, call me boring. I picked the best team in hockey to win the whole thing. I just feel like they're going to come back needing some revenge after what happened last postseason. I think they'll get it done this year and bring a cup down to Tampa. So I hope you guys enjoyed this predictions video. I have another one coming up very soon with the NBA kicking off in just a few weeks. That should be a ton of fun. We're getting into the winter sports season here, which is always one of my favorites, so I hope you guys are excited for these next few months as I am, and I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.